Because let's get real. If you look around your life and it's a mess and you feel deeply unhappy about it, if you're watching this video right now, it means that this is your moment where you spend most of your days scrolling. I've been there. You have the ability to change something. The feeling that you're wasting your life can be devastating, and it makes people severely unhappy. Hi, my name is Brooke. Welcome to my channel and this podcast, Mainstay Mindset, where we dive into life's purpose and living life to the fullest. Today we're talking about how to be happy now. We often think that once we achieve certain milestones, we'll finally be happy. But what if I told you that happiness is not a destination? It's not something that you chase, but it's something that you cultivate intentionally daily. So let's start with the first type of happiness. This type of happiness is conditional. This is I'll be happy when type. It's fleeting and elusive. You can never quite catch it, but the bright side to this one is it's easy to manufacture. However, there are downsides to this, and we'll get to that. It's like chasing a rainbow. You never quite catch it. Next, we have disposition. This means choosing to be happy now. Happiness in this case is a gift you give yourself. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's a state of mind. It's deciding that even though everything may not be perfect, you can still find joy in the little moments. The third type is what I like to call legacy happiness. It's happiness you feel when you look back on your life, and this is the most abstract and it's the hardest to get people to buy into until you're told you have 2 weeks to live. So let's think about something for a second. Have you ever written a eulogy? Who would give that eulogy? When I had to give my dad's eulogy, let me tell you, nothing made me reflect on my current actions more. What changed my life forever was thinking, was I going to leave behind a mess or a legacy? Was I going to leave a legacy like my dad if I continued down the same path? Now, are you going to leave a mess or a legacy? We often think that we will be remembered in the way we want to be remembered, but we forget that we earned that with intentionality. If we are intentional, only then can we shape our future with what we do today. It's really easy to say, I'm going to start that when, that thing happens. But what if you don't end up being happy because of it? Was it worth it? So let's talk about wealth and happiness for a second. Divorce rates spike at top 2% of wealth earners. If we do end up with our goal and we're not happy because of it, then was it worth it? No. So what is happiness? Gratitude is the biggest catalyst for a healthy brain that feels happiness and joy that psychologists and neurologists know of. It's what triggers joy beyond the walls of the world. The people with the harshest lives that I've ever met, Holocaust survivors, people with cancer, people who have had very harsh and traumatic lives, they were still some of the happiest people that I've known. And it wasn't a fake happiness, it was a deep joy. It's still important to remember that no matter how hard life gets, there are still things to be grateful for. Take a look at these brain scans, the latest brain scans on gratitude and worry. They asked one grateful person, as the brain scan on the left, to think about something like their dog dying, and made them think about things in the future to be worried about. You can see the difference here. We have that choice every day to focus on what could be, or we can focus on what we can be grateful for. It's up to you, and it's up to me. We can choose to be happy now. But let's be honest, that's not really a direct route to happiness, is it? Because let's get real. If you look around your life and it's a mess and you feel deeply unhappy about it, or you spend most of your days scrolling and you feel gross inside because of it, I've been there. The feeling that you're wasting your life can be devastating, and it makes people severely unhappy. But what if you're depressed? What if your life's a mess and you don't know how to get out of it? Sometimes it's chemical depression, and it can be fixed with the right medication. But sometimes depression is situational, and not just chemical. Depression can lay out families and lives, and it's nothing to be trivial about. So which is it? Is it situational or is it chemical? If depression is something that you're wrestling with or you have anxiety, that may be your dragon. And what I mean by that is when you have a story where the hero goes out and fights the dragon, there would be no story without the dragon. There would be no hero. And we all have our dragons. Dragons are very, very scary, but you can be the hero. And you can be the hero that at least tries to fight with it. If your life isn't in order and it's in chaos, it's important to fix it. Listen when you have those moments that break through the clouds. There was a man, and it wasn't any guy who was doing research studies. I just heard a story about a guy who took a whole year to document everything that made him happy. What he ate, when he slept, and he went down to the weather of the day, what he did, everything. And he simply put down on paper what made him happy each day and what he didn't like. And he wrote down what days he was happy, what days he wasn't. At the end of the year, he took that log and he said, what were the elements of those days that made me happy? And then he did something about it. So if you're someone who you know is happy, you know you're happy in sunny weather, it may be worth looking into to move to somewhere that's sunnier. If you know that you're in a toxic relationship, it may be worth looking into either fixing the relationship or dropping it altogether. And anything that's out of whack in your life, it's worth cataloging and trying to figure out when you're most happy. Because there are fleeting moments where it does break us out of the monotony of life. Those moments are times that we need to remember. When things are horrible, when we feel depressed, when we're having horrible days, weeks, years, we have to remember that we do have some control over that. And we have to catalog, I'm not going to feel this way forever. When was I last happy? What made me the happiest? Is there a way that I can recreate that to every day? It's something to think about. Whatever your dragon is, imagine what you can learn over a whole lifespan of cataloging what you enjoy. It sounds simple, but it's so true and it's so pivotal. You can order your life and the routines of it to locations even that would make you enjoy your life. But what about addictions? Toxic relationships and the rest of chaos that could be surrounding your life? Well, you could try to change your life into a more simple and peaceful schedule, beginning with things you can control now. So if it's addiction, if you know that that's something that's bringing you down and making more chaos, that is something that might be in your control, at least in the beginning of realizing and recognizing what the deeper issue is that you are covering up and soothing the emotional dragon that you need to feel, that you feel you need to face, to sit in those feelings and learn how to handle them without substance. That may be your dragon. Whatever your dragon is, you need to label it and then separate it from yourself. It's highly likely that someone else has experienced what you have experienced, and there is a way through it. And that is life-changing, just to know that you are not alone. And furthermore, could you help someone else by facing your dragon? If you can change yourself from being a victim into a knight that has even the possibility and hope of killing your dragon, just that hope can change your whole life. And you start with labeling it and figuring out what you can change. And there are so many things out of our control, but to start, you start with what you can control. People who wrote down negative things could analyze them and have a more positive experience within the next 6 months simply because they understood and could frame that negative experience in their life. A lot of times we view traumatic events in ways that affect our present. If things very evil and unfair have happened to us, oftentimes we think the past is fixed and they're still attacking us right now. Memories can be changed by how we look at them. Memory is part of the process of behavioral and cognitive adaptation of the world. Our memories are a map of how we can react to the world. When we look at horrible things that have happened to us as if they're happening in the present, it's extremely hurtful and damaging, and you could say triggering. You don't have to keep viewing yourself as someone who is a target of malevolence and someone who's a victim who can't do anything, who's caught and trapped. If you're watching this video right now, it means that this is your moment to realize you have the ability to change something, and you're not that person who's not in control anymore. Our memories are there to verify and keep us from going into difficult situations again. It helps us to learn. Good things can be duplicated, and bad things can be kept from happening again. It's very difficult to get out of the cycle of rumination and triggering. The one linking symptom of depression in all cases is rumination. That's why things like exercise can help us get out of the monotony. It can help in not only chemical ways, but it can help you get out of the thinking cycle or a cycle that you're stuck in. That is a very healthy thing for the mind and body to do. Overthinking is your brain trying to help you solve a problem. It's your brain trying to help you. But what do we do when that bad memory is no longer happening? If we don't feel secure, that fear won't go away by overthinking. We need to write it down. The natural thing to react is with uncertainty, and we're trying to figure it out, and that's rumination or fear. So it's helpful to have the traumatic event in context to develop sophistication of understanding the evil. I felt so vulnerable and shamed for traumatic events in my past. When something happens to you that's terrible, you don't always understand it because your brain is going into fight or flight. That's what it does first. Well, how do you get out of that terror? You have to decompose it into 3 categories to face it voluntarily. Think what has changed or not changed, and have a plan of how you will deal with it if that event happened to you again. If you have a memory that's longer than 18 months ago that's no longer happening, you have to write it down so you can understand it. An understanding of evil comes from religious beliefs. It goes much deeper than what we can see and what we're feeling in response to things. Understanding of evil comes from religious beliefs, which needs to be chosen for someone to become the white knight and overcome evil without being overcome by it. Religious health, which we will get into, is extremely important to be able to overcome trauma. Fear is always there. This world is not perfect. The dragon is always there. We have to learn security. So if those terrible things are still there, your life is a mess. Okay, what then? We need to get a routine, guys. We can't be mentally healthy without a routine. Your circadian rhythm is regulation of your mood. So choose when to sleep, when to wake up every day, and when you will eat around it. Your body will start to calm down because it knows you're taking care of it. Breaking it down even further, sometimes the first step is the step towards security, and that is to do one thing. Just one thing today. If you can't even get down to writing down things that you're ruminating over, just do one thing. And that one thing that you know you need to do today, that you can do today, just one thing, that is the start of your journey to fight your dragons and the road to fulfillment. If you take one thing to do a day, your life will start cleaning up, and the unnecessary stress will be overcome and eliminated from your life. You do one thing every day. Take that step consistently, and you will start respecting yourself when you start winning and celebrating small wins. That makes some self-respect and some happiness. And when you do anything, even making your bed, heck, sometimes even getting out of bed is something to be proud of yourself for. You need to pat yourself on the back for that. It is not a trivial thing. And that is a lie if you're thinking that. We have to build self-respect, and it comes from the little things. Whatever you do to accomplish, whatever you accomplish, note it and associate that with your growth. And there is something that is somewhat popular. It's the quote, "Proud but never satisfied." It is possible to be proud of where you are. But if you're not proud of yourself at all, that affects your self-esteem. If you have self-doubt or self-loathing, your actions throughout the day and how you treat people and how you allow yourself to be treated will be drastically affected. If you didn't loathe yourself, if you didn't have self-doubt, imagine how you treat people, how your business would change, how you would allow people to treat you. It would be radically improved, and so would your whole life. All the things that you've been through, and you are still here. That is something worth patting yourself on the back for. It's possible to grow your self-esteem to a point where you're currently proud of yourself, or should I say happy about your current state, and also striving for a better future. Humans need goals. We need to grow respect for ourselves and to prove to ourselves that we follow through. Being honest with yourself about what needs to change, to improve, and giving yourself grace in learning and changing and growing. The more you do that, the more you grow yourself and you respect yourself, and the more you can be happy with your life circumstances and the schedule that you've designed around things that you enjoy. A schedule isn't a prison. You can enjoy it. So the next and last thing is finding a spiritual practice. And I have a whole video series that I want to put into practice with this idea about how to do that and, a logical, healthy way to do that, and not to be sucked into the mindless droning of people who do not want the best for you. But we got to find a spiritual practice, something to give a higher purpose, to take us out of self-focus and into helping others. Stephanie Brown, PhD of the University's Institute for Social Research, and colleagues found that 423 older couples over a 5-year period, as part of a larger community-based project studying the lives of older couples, reported providing no instrumental or emotional support to others, were more than likely, twice as likely to die in the next 5 years as compared to people who help spouses, friends, relatives, and neighbors. So researchers built the study from previous data suggesting the social interaction, volunteer work, and healthy habits lead to a longer life. So what does that have to do with happiness and spirituality, and why does spirituality matter? Happiness was significantly associated with the lower mortality, aka health. Spiritual practices have been found to add to lower mortality. So mental health. Research suggests that spirituality and religious involvement are linked to lower rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. Engaging in spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, or mindfulness has been shown to reduce risk of stress and promote overall well-being. Physical health. Some studies indicate that individuals who are religious or spiritual tend to have better physical and health outcomes. This could be attributed to factors such as healthier lifestyle choices, social support from religious communities, and stress reduction. Number 3, coping mechanisms. Spirituality and religion often provide people with coping mechanisms to deal with life's challenges such as illness, grief, or trauma. Belief systems and practices can offer comfort, hope, and sense of meaning and purpose, which can enhance resilience and psychological well-being. The 4th is longevity. Several studies have suggested a positive correlation between religious involvement and increased longevity. Engaging in spiritual practices, having a strong sense of spiritual faith may contribute to a longer lifespan, possibly through healthier behaviors, stress reduction, and social support. And 5th is quality of life. Spirituality and religious beliefs have often been associated with higher reported levels of life satisfaction and overall quality of life. So, people who feel connected to something greater than themselves often experience a sense of fulfillment, belonging, and inner peace. The last is number 6, health behaviors. Individuals who are religious or spiritual may be more likely to engage in health-promoting behaviors such as regular exercise, avoiding substance abuse, seeking preventative health care, and these behaviors contribute to better health outcomes over time. people who go to church services regularly live up to 4 years longer. That's right, 4 years longer. According to a Vanderbilt study, middle-aged peoples ages 40 to 65, adults, both men and women, who attended church or other houses of worship reduced their risk of mortality by, hear this, 55%. 55%. So, going to church, being spiritual, you can live up to 4 years longer and decrease risk of mortality by 55%. Another study found people who go to church, synagogue, or mosque are less stressed and live longer. And one of the most comprehensive, published in JAMA International Medicine in 2016, found that women who went to any kind of religious service more than once a week had a 33% chance lower than their secular peers of dying during the 16-year study-up period. Another study published last year in PLOS 1 found that regular service attendance was linked to reductions in body stresses, responses, and even mortality. So much so that worshipers were 55% less likely to die during up to 18-year follow-up periods than people who were more secular. As for which spirituality is most helpful or universally or scientifically true than others, that is a conversation for another video. We are meant to be challenged, to enter the ring and fight our battles and get stronger from them. Life is hard and it's brutal and it isn't fair. It never will be, and I think this is a lie. Life will never be fair, and to think it is, I think is really going to mess with our psyches. True fulfillment, the ability to have the desired eulogy, comes from pursuing life. In other words, pursuing truth. And this video is just the beginning. I'm writing a book on happiness, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, which is so full of much more information. So, of all things to remember, staying positive, having joy, and improving depression doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time. It is truly impossible to be happy all the time. And it is not a way towards fulfillment. You are worthy of happiness and peace of mind. You are so worthy of happiness and peace of mind. The ability to self-regulate, not avoiding negative feelings, comes from practicing facing your dragons over and over and over again. Don't give in to the night when the morning is surely coming. Pat yourself on the back for making it this far. Never, ever, ever give up on yourself. Keep going. Stay mainstay.